Today we're going to learn all about radical functions. These are functions that have a radical or a square root symbol in them. Here's some key points. They are the opposite of a quadratic. Raising something to the second power and taking its square root are opposite operations, just like addition and subtraction are opposites. Multiplication and division are opposites. The shifts are also the same. In vertex form of a quadratic, the a value controls whether it's reflected or not. The same thing is true for the radical function. This h controls if we shift left or right, and our k value controls our shifts up or down. The parent function is graphed in red. Notice that it starts at 0, 0, and it has a domain, a list of x's. Domain is our list of x's. All the x's greater than or equal to 0. Let's take a look at g of x. Square root of x minus 2 is exactly the same, except it's shifted to the right 2. Shifted to the right 2. It has a domain of all the x's greater than 2. b of x is exactly like the parent function, except it's shifted left 3, down 1. Start the parent function, I'm going left 3, down 1. It has a domain of all of the x's greater than or equal to negative 3. Let's take a look at p of x. It's shifted right 5, up 3, and it's reflected. So starting at my parent function, it's shifted right 5, up 3, and it's reflected. Now it has a domain of all of the x's greater than or equal to 5. Basically take what's under the radical and set it equal to greater than or equal to 0. We can also solve these radical functions. So let's take a look at our first one. 5 equals the square root of x. Well, the opposite operation is to just square both sides. So now we see that x equals 25. Let's take a look at the next one. To get rid of the radical, we have to square both sides. So now we have 25 equals x minus 2. Notice the radical's gone. And now we add 2 to both sides. Let's look at our third example. We have stuff under the radical and stuff outside of the radical. Think of the radical as a house. We need to take care of what's outside the radical before we can deal with what's inside of it. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. We need to square both sides. That's how we get rid of the house, is by squaring both sides. And now we can subtract 3. Let's take a look at our last example. Once again, I'm drawing my house. I cannot touch what's in the house until I've gotten rid of what's outside of the house. So let me subtract 3 from both sides. Let me divide both sides by -1. Now I'm just left with the house, so I can square both sides. -2 times -2 is 4. The radical goes away. And now I can solve for x, which is one last step.